Welcome to Comfortably Me. This is episode number 3. I just want to say thank you all who've been showing me love and who've been listening to this podcast. I am so grateful for all of you listeners. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys make me so proud. Like, I feel proud of myself, and that's big to say because sometimes I don't give myself that pat on the back. So now I'm giving myself that pat on the back. So I'm so grateful. Okay, so today's episode, I have my notes. Let me tell you, I'm serious. You're watching on YouTube. Look at all these notes. You're able to see it. Don't mind my nails. But and it's 2 pages. As I was writing the notes to this episode, it was slapping me in the face. Like, this is for me. If it's not for anyone else, this episode is for me. I was getting my dose of like, wow, revelation, healing, and really like, yeah, tighten up. This was like a wake up. Like, it really helped me put things in perspective and be able to identify what exactly was going on with me. Like these little dips in my emotions. This really made it clear. What I thought I knew about this topic, no, it's actually a lot more. This episode 3, and it's titled, Are You New Here? Are you new here? Are you new here? But it's about self-sabotage. And when I looked up the definition to the word self-sabotage, of course, what my understanding was before actually doing my research was sometimes you can get to a certain place or accomplish a certain goal and you're in rooms or surrounded around people or at a new job, a new place, a new environment, and you don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like, you just feel like an imposter, sort of like imposter syndrome. So that's, oh no, what am I talking about? Whoa. You guys, God is so funny. So this episode was supposed to be about imposter syndrome. Why did I write down self-sabotage and did my whole research on self-sabotage? And as I said in the beginning, that it was like a slap in the face. Like I was really able to identify what I was going through. And this week and last week, I've been praying and asking God for things and asking God for clarity about things. And the fact that He led me to look up and research self-sabotage and do the podcast on self-sabotage when it was supposed to be about imposter syndrome. And I didn't realize that until just now. I'm shook. God will get His glory. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay, so I guess we're going to have to talk about imposter syndrome another day because God just flipped the switch. He really flipped the switch, you guys. Like, that is so crazy. I'm shook right now. But have your way. Have your way, God. Have your way. When I looked up the word self-sabotage in the dictionary, it says, self-sabotage is when people do things that block their success or prevent them from accomplishing their own goals. It can happen cautiously, consciously, or unconsciously. This behavior can affect their personal and professional success as well as their mental health. Okay, let's get into it. Y'all ready? Because I know if this is for me, I know I can't be the only one going through this. This is going to be good. This is life-changing. This right here is life-changing on God. Self-sabotage is when you hinder your own growth. If you stay in the place of self-sabotage, you will never get to see everything that God has for you. You will never even pursue your goals because you'll constantly be holding yourself back. And that is a plot of the enemy. That is the enemy winning the battle in your mind to make you think that you are not good enough, that you are not worthy of better, that you're complacent, that you're lazy. Self-sabotage is when you believe the lies that the enemy tells you, that you give in to the negative thoughts. You let the negative thoughts roam around long enough and you start believing it. That's what self-sabotage is. It doesn't allow you to see the fullness of yourself. I don't care where you are right now. That's not where you're going to end. And you don't have to stay there. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be in lack. This is just a season. Everybody goes through things. I don't want no one to think that everybody's life is just going so well. And even if it is, because some people are living a good life. Let's not everybody's faking it. Some people are living a good life, but you don't know what they went through before they got to that, before they got to their blessed place, before they got to receive the life that they want to live, the life of their best life, before they got the $1 million, before they got the home of their dreams, before they got into the car of their dreams, before they got married, before they had the children of their dreams. You don't know what their process was. So don't allow the enemy or those negative thoughts to make you think that you don't deserve it, that you're not worthy of it. And I'm going to break down self-sabotage because we're going to kill it today. Tonight, we're going to kill self-sabotage because we're no longer going to hold ourselves back. Self-sabotage is when you hold yourself back. There's no one got you in those chains but yourself. No one has you boxed in but yourself. But it's time that we break free. And I'm going to help you break free. And this is for me. This is not only for y'all. This is for me. Because many times I hold myself back. Even when, let me give you an example of how self-sabotage can work. Every time I'll have like a viral moment on social media. And mind you, this is like what I do, right? I would get scared. Like fear would come upon me. And I'm like, too much notifications. I'll get anxiety or I just want to go ghost. Like it's too much attention. But isn't that what your platform is for? How can you pray for God to bless your platform? And when he blesses it, when you open your mouth, when I actually open my mouth and say the messages that he gives me and it goes viral, how can I run away from that? But that's self-sabotage. Because as soon as my platform grows, that means I'm going to have to speak more. That means I'm going to be pushed into my destiny. I'm going to be pushed into purpose. And that is scary. And that is what I'm fearful of deep down inside. Self-sabotage is when you are fearful of living in purpose because you don't believe that you deserve it. And you are in fear and have anxiety about what's next. Self-sabotage will have you in a place where you'll experience that success. Like I said, how I would go viral. And this is my time to kind of take advantage of that moment. Right? But instead I'll back away. That's self-sabotage because what you're supposed to do in that moment is take advantage of that success. Self-sabotage will have you hinder your own success. It will keep you in a place of lack. It's due to your lack of self-worth. You don't feel like you're worthy of it. Your lack of self-value. You don't feel valuable. You don't feel like what you have to offer is valuable. You don't feel like your work is valuable. When you show up in rooms, you don't feel like you can add value. So you question yourself a lot. Your confidence, you're not as confident in yourself. So you nitpick at everything that you do. That's self-sabotage. And self-sabotage usually stems from your childhood, your prior relationships that left you scarred, that left you hurt, that left you feeling abandoned, that left you feeling like that was the best you could ever get. And that's a lie. That's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. And I don't care who said it was the truth because it's not. And an example of self-sabotage, a clear example, the most simplest example I can give you about self-sabotage is, we all go on this trend of going on a diet, right? I like to call it lifestyle change because that's when you really know, okay, enough is enough. But it's like when you go on these diets, you made up in your mind that you're going to lose weight and you're going on a diet. You bought everything. You bought the carrots. You bought the salad. All of that. You bought the fruit because you're going on this diet because you're serious about losing weight. But then you'll go to Popeyes. Fried chicken, biscuit, all of that stuff. You decided to go to Popeyes. After you bought the healthy food, you decided to go to Popeyes. That's self-sabotage. You don't even take yourself serious enough to go after it. When you deal with self-sabotage, it'll come at the right moment. And when I say right moment, it's like when you're on the brinks of success, it will creep in. That feeling of self-sabotage will creep in because you feel it, because your future self is there. Like you're already that person, right? And it's like, okay, you're on the road of success, and self-sabotage will make you become complacent, will make you become lazy. It's emotion. It's a thing where you're evolving and you're stunting your growth because you are afraid to evolve. You are afraid to become that person that is needed to become successful in order for you to become successful. Certain behaviors that identify with self-sabotage are procrastination, self-medications like drugs, alcohol, like you find comfort in eating. That was me. I was an emotional eater. When I was sad, I ate. When I felt depressed, I ate. When I felt like I was losing control or I just didn't know what to do, I ate. And that's how I gained all of that weight when I moved here, is because I ate for comfort, because that is a part of self-sabotage. Instead of doing what I needed to do in order to figure things out, I ate. I found comfort in eating. And when I eat, I got bigger, and that made me uncomfortable in my body. That's self-sabotage. I didn't even take care of myself. Self-sabotage can even resort into self-harm, where people start cutting. When you hear about people cutting and you're like, why do people cut their wrists? They don't even know why. It's a self-sabotaging behavior where if they find comfort in cutting themselves, instead of getting help or doing what they're supposed to do to get the help, they rather self-sabotage and cut. Y'all got to know how the enemy works in your mind. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I know on my last podcast, I don't know why I said the flesh, but excuse me if I got that mixed up. But the enemy loves the flesh, and the flesh is the worldly things. So when I was watching that back, I was like, oh my God, why did I say that? But just wanted to bring clarity. That's the plot of the enemy. He only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Self-sabotage is rooted in unhealthy beliefs about ourselves and faulty narratives that we tell ourselves. Like when you go after a job that maybe pays twice as much as you get paid now, and you tell yourself, you convince yourself to send in your resume. As you wait, they may take longer than usual. You submitted it by faith. Then all of a sudden, these thoughts come like, you're not going to get that job. You're not worthy of it. How you going to do it? That's self-sabotage. So what you then do is sleep it away. Or even when the people call, you don't even answer the phone because you don't think you deserve the job. You already talk yourself out of success. You already talk yourself out of abundance. You already talked yourself out of prosperity. You already talked yourself out of living your best life because you do not think you deserve it. We have to tackle the mind. We have to tackle the tactics against our mind, those negative thoughts that come to rob us of our destiny, those negative thoughts that we built up. Because when I say we built up, because our circumstances, you have to change your perspective. So yeah, the faulty narrative that we feed ourselves, because sometimes when we go through life and we have certain experiences, it tears at our self-esteem. It tears at our self-worth. And if you don't do the necessary work to build yourself up, you're going to always think negative when it comes to even finding love again, believing in love again, especially after being hurt from a relationship. Like, a lot of women like to say, men ain't ish. All men are dogs. I don't say that. You know why? Because I understand that the tongue is powerful. I don't say that anymore. Not all men cheat. No, I haven't met every man. And I know my man is not going to cheat on me. And I understand how powerful the tongue is. So if I keep professing, all the men that meet me will be dogs to me, because I already profess that. And whatever I speak comes back to me. So I'm conscious about everything that I say out of my mouth, because I know the tongue has power to give life or death. I'd rather give life. So if I'm hoping for a mate that will love me unconditionally, who will be faithful to me, who will love God, I'm going to speak positive about relationships. So when I'm talking about my experiences, that's another thing. Because yes, I have had negative experiences, but I have to change my perspective. I'm not going to be in that low place where I feel like, since he did this to me, maybe every other man after him is going to do me the same way. No, I'm going to change my perspective and look inwardly. What about him that attracted me? Why did I stay that long? Why did I allow him to treat me that way? So then healing can come to me, so I can be a better version of myself. I need to know what it is rooted in. And that's how we're going to get rid of self-sabotage. We have to know what is the root of everything. Because until we get to the root of it, if we never get to the root of it, it will continue to fester. It will continue to come up. It will come up at the wrong time. The wrong time, meaning the time when God is going to bless you, when God is going to change your life. That's when it will come up, and you will hinder your own success. You will stop your own blessing. So we have to get to the root of it. Are y'all ready to get to the root of it? Because it's not going to be pretty. Because there's some things you're going to have to go back in your childhood. Some things that you forgot, God is going to bring it back to your remembrance. God did it for me. It was certain things I was praying like, God, why do I deal with this? Or why have I put up with this? Show me. I want to know. I want to know more about myself. And God sent it to me like a clear vision of what happened to me in my childhood and brought it back to my remembrance, something I buried for so long because I didn't want to remember it. But in order for me to heal and understand why I put up with certain things from in relationships, I had to visit my childhood. I had to visit those things, those past experiences from my childhood in order to get to the root of it. Then once we get to the root of it, then we can solve the problem. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight. No, healing doesn't happen overnight. But when you have a willing spirit to get up and do the work, your life will forever be changed and transformed, and your spirit will be renewed. I'm telling you, we got to break these cycles. And in order for us to break these cycles, we have to get to the root of the issue. We have to. How we're going to cure self-sabotage, because we're not going to think low of ourselves anymore. We're not going to think that we're not worthy of it. We're not going to think that we are not confident. I want every woman, every person, even if you're a man hearing the sound of my voice, I want when you walk into a room, you are confident in who you are. You are confident in your abilities. You are confident in the work that you do, that you think very highly of yourself, because that's the way God thinks of you. God thinks so highly of you. God thinks that you deserve love. God thinks you're not in lack. God doesn't care about what you went through. God doesn't care about your past. God don't care about where you've been. And you shouldn't carry that shame on you. You shouldn't think less of yourself. It's time for us to do the work and build ourselves back up. And I know it's hard, but that's why we have each other. That's why we have each other. That's why you got me, your new BFF. Okay. So how we're going to cure self-sabotage, we have to develop awareness. Like I said, get to the root of it. Then we have to make a plan and act on it. Because that's the thing about self-sabotage. A lot of times when you'll make a vision board or make a plan for the new year and you notice at the end of the year you didn't accomplish 50% of the board or 50% of the things that you've written down, because you have talked yourself out of success. You have made yourself become complacent, lazy, and that only stems from you not believing that you deserve this life that you envisioned for yourself. Listen, we're going to kill it today though. So making a plan and actually acting on it. And I know it's going to be hard to break free from that mindset of actually doing the work, but how you're going to break it is through prayer. That's why you have to spend those times reading your affirmations in the morning. And sometimes if it's really bad, those mind battles, you got to read it morning, day and night throughout the day. If you find yourself constantly having these mind battles or having these negative thoughts, you have to always have positivity in your ear. So that's an action that you have to take to be serious and be consistent with your healing, to be consistent with your breakthrough. You have to know how to defeat the enemy that's on the inside of you. There's an African proverb that I learned about from Les Brown. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. He's really good. That's another positive person I listen to, Les Brown. It says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can't get in. When I heard that, I was shook. Listen, it says, if there is no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot get in. Do you know what that means? Do y'all know what that means? So the enemy that we are trying to defeat right now is the enemy within ourselves. And I think that is the biggest enemy that we have to fight, because I don't think the devil has that much power, to be honest. The God I serve, the devil ain't got that much power with y'all. But the enemy within us, that's the enemy we have to constantly fight and be on guard. What we allow into our spirit. You have to be very mindful, very careful. You have to care about yourself. You have to care about yourself. How you allow others to treat you determines how much you care and love yourself. If you allow others to mistreat you and use you and abuse you and talk to you any kind of way, that is a sign, a clear sign that you do not love yourself. And when you do not love yourself, you will settle and you would accept anything. Be careful, because that is self-sabotage. Because you don't think you deserve better, you settle, because that's exactly what it is. Do not cast your pearls to swines. I love that Bible verse. Because I was someone who always casted my pearls to swines, and I didn't understand that because I didn't think what I had to offer was pearls. Do you know how valuable pearls are? I didn't think what I had to give was pearls. So when I gave it out, I didn't think nothing of it. But the more I gave out, the more empty I felt. The more I gave out to people and they trampled over it, because it says the swines, they'll trample over it because they don't see it as valuable, because they don't value you. And they'll make you think that what you have is not valuable because they don't value you. But let me tell you, we're going to kill that enemy, because what you have is valuable. I don't care who said it. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your family, that ex-boyfriend, or even the person you with now that you need to leave. Because if that person does not value you, they do not deserve you. And what you leave for God would never be the best you ever had. And I would rather be by myself than to be in a relationship where there is no growth and where I feel less. If my person does not feel like home, and what I mean by home is, after a long day of work, you come home and it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm home. This is my home, my relaxation. If you feel like you always on edge and that masculine energy is in you, no. And I don't even know why I'm there. Let me get, because that's for the next episode. So stay tuned for that. To cure self-sabotage, we have to develop awareness, make a plan, and act on it, and practice mindfulness. And what that means is, like I said, be on guard. Be mindful what you entertain. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we trying to cure self-sabotage, it's not gonna go nowhere. Like, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's insanity. We have to communicate healthy communication, because I thought I was a great communicator and I was just very argumentative. Allowing healthy communication to transpire, and especially the communication that you have with yourself. Openly speaking how you feel, even if you're in a room by yourself. It's not crazy. You can say you're talking to God. Sometimes you might not hear back, but getting those words out there, getting those feelings, those thoughts out. But then when you venting out, make sure you speak life back into yourself. Being mindful of that. Like, let me give you an example. Let's do this right now. Let me show you how we gonna do this. God, sometimes I worry about my future. Sometimes I don't know what's next, but I do have faith in you. But sometimes I don't feel like I'm capable. Sometimes I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. But I know you have plans to prosper me, never leave me. I know I can put all my faith in you and know that I will live a purposeful life if I depend on you and I put all my faith in you. Help me to draw near to you. Uplift me, Lord. You don't have to talk like me, but I'm trying to be here with it. Okay. So developing awareness, make a plan and act on it, practice mindfulness, communicate in a healthy way, finding the root causes. We talked about that as well. And the last one is stop looking at the big picture. That's me. I don't know about y'all, but that's me. I'm always like, especially when you have a goal, right? This is the new year. We all have goals. We all have this big plan because we want to live our best lives at the end. We have these big visions for ourselves, and that is all great. But okay, let me give you an example. I want to be a millionaire. Okay. But then life happens and you're probably not making as much money in the business, right? And of course, now you on edge. Now you stressed out. Now you feel like, well, maybe I'm not meant to be a millionaire. Maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, because every time I try it, it never works out for me, or I never see the fullness of it. And you start to doubt yourself. Sometimes you believe in God, but you still doubt yourself. You doubt your own abilities because you're looking at the big picture. But focus on right now. Don't focus on the big goal of being a millionaire, of buying your dream house, of buying your dream car. Let's scale back. It's not saying that it's not going to ever happen. That's the goal, and it's going to come to pass. I'm believing that for you and me. But let's see what we can do, okay? With that example I use, okay, if the business not doing this, what could I do? Let's start reading more books on how to become an expert on the business. Come on. Yeah, we have to use those same tactics. Okay, let's look up people who are in the business, who are successful. Let me see what they're doing. I'm not going to copy them, but let me see how they're moving. And then I'm going to pray like, God, give me the blueprint. God, give me the game plan, because you know all things. Send me a mentor. Send me what I need, because you know everything. You know every person in this world. So send me what I need. Send me help. Send me a vision, because all it takes is one thing and you skyrocket. All you need is one product that will change your life. God, give me that one product that will change my life. Give me that one word that will change my life forever. Listen, y'all got to be bold about it. So stop looking at the bigger picture, because it'll stress you out. And the moment something goes wrong and kind of knocks you off, you'll start to think that it was never meant for you. And you'll start to think like, well, it's probably never going to happen for me. And you'll start to self-sabotage and push yourself even more back. We're not doing that. Focus on right now, what you can do right now. Don't look at the end goal, focusing on what we have in front of us. Proverbs 21 verse 25 through 26, it says, the craving of a sluggard will be the death of him, because his hands refuse to work. All day long, he craves and craves for more, but the righteous give without sparing. The sacrifice of the wicked is detestable. How much more so when I brought with evil intent? Ooh, that was 27, y'all. My bad. But that was good. The sacrifice of the wicked is detestable. How much more so when brought with evil intent? When it says The craving of a sluggard will be the death of him because his hands refuse to work. You crave a lot of things. You crave a lot of things. You crave to live your best life. You crave the lavish lifestyle, right? We all crave those things. You crave to live a life of abundance. You crave to live a life where you're worry free. Like you don't have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from, where you're going to get money for to pay the bills. We all crave that. The freedom of that. But you don't want to do the work. You crave and crave, but you don't want to do the work. It says the craving of a sluggard will be the death of him because his hands refuse to work. So you'll crave and crave. It's like Langston Hughes said this, a poet by the name of Langston Hughes. If you don't know Langston Hughes, did you go to school? But he says a dream deferred makes the heart sick. I think that's in the Bible too, though. That is in the Bible. I first read it from Langston Hughes, but I believe that is also in the Bible. A dream deferred makes the heart sick. Imagine craving something and never getting it because you choose not to do the work. And you'll blame everybody else but yourself. And you'll become a victim to life, circumstances. Wake up. Pick up your mat. Get out of the pit. And another thing, I'm going to just say this quickly. What I don't like, this is why we do have to get out of this mindset of self-sabotage. Because when you're in a mindset of self-sabotage and you don't find yourself worthy of enough, what will happen is you will attract people who don't want the best for you, who claim to love you and would applaud and congratulate you when you are settling for less. Because to them, your standards are here and they're okay with your standards are here because you don't know your worth. Although they may probably see something on the inside of you, but they know that you won't do the work to get to your full potential. And out of love, they just clap for you anyway. They clap for you being stuck. They clap for you being complacent. They clap for you being lazy. They clap for you because you'll never get to where God wants you to be because you don't want to do the work. You don't aspire to do the work. And sometimes we'll start doing the work, right? And then here comes the enemy with his old tricks and puts those same things back in your life that tricked you up before because ain't nothing new under the sun. And here you go falling for it. It knocks you 10 steps back. Life circumstances will cause you to self-sabotage if you do not do the work. It will cause you to make you feel like you're a victim, that life doesn't work out for you. It will even cause friction in your relationships. It'll make you believe that people are not for you, people who genuinely love you and want the best for you. But because you do not value yourself, you will never think you're worthy of their love. You will never think that someone will love you unconditionally or support you in that way because you don't give it to yourself. You don't believe that you deserve it. We killed that today. We're killing that today. Self-sabotage is rooted in lack of trust in oneself. You think you tricked yourself into the spot. You'll think that you don't deserve to be there. You'll form some sort of imposter syndrome. Self-sabotage is tied into imposter syndrome because the only reason you're experiencing imposter syndrome is because you don't think you belong there. You don't think you add value. You don't think you are necessary. What you have is necessary. You doubt your gifts. Everyone has gifts. So you'll think that you tricked yourself into the spot. So that's where the imposter syndrome comes in because you'll feel like you tricked everyone to get to where you are and you're afraid that they'll find out who you really are. And you'll be in fear that they might find out who you really are. But who you really are is the person in the room, that you deserve to be there, that you lack nothing, that you are worthy of your spot, that you are there for purpose. You are there for a reason, that seat belongs to you. You deserve to be in the room. But imposter syndrome and self-sabotage will be like siblings to you if you don't get to the root of it, if you don't do the work. This mind, they say, is about a couple 100,000 thoughts, or I think it's 75,000 thoughts that run through someone's mind in a day. I believe that's what I read. And 95% of them are negative. 95% of 75,000 thoughts, 95% of that is negative. Do you know how big that is? So I need y'all to understand how important the mind is and cultivating the mind and feeding the mind good things because it's made to think negative. And especially after you have gone through so much in life, come on. I can't fault you for thinking negative. Life hasn't been easy for you. Life hasn't gone your way, but it does not end there. There's more to come. There's more on the inside of you. Everything that you've gone through is for purpose. I'm telling you. So yeah, self-sabotage can negatively affect your relationships with people, like I said, including the relationship with your career. Cognitive dissonance. Self-sabotage is in connection with, if you're a psychologist listening, you'll know this term, Cognitive dissonance, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes about oneself. It can stem from a difficult childhood. If you were raised in a dysfunctional family, you are going to deal with self-sabotage. You're going to deal with those negative thoughts, especially if you weren't nurtured in the right way or you weren't reassured as a child with affirmations or like with okay, let me speak this. I'm Haitian. So I was raised in a house where emotionally I don't think I was taken care of. So when I got into these relationships, I would expect them to fill that kind of void. And I attracted emotionally unavailable people because you are what you attract. You attract what you are. So I attract who were not emotionally available. And how can you fill my cup if your cup is empty? How can you fill a void in me that was intended for God to fill? How could I expect someone to fill a void on the inside of me when they lack the same thing on the inside of them? But when you are a broken person, you are not able to see clearly. Your vision is clouded tremendously. And that's why when you see people settling so bad, their vision is clouded. Don't mind them. When you have a negative self-image of yourself, when you don't feel as beautiful, when you don't feel comfortable in your body, if you don't feel comfortable in your body and you have a negative self-image where you don't even like your attitudes or you feel like you want to be more outspoken and you find trouble communicating with people, or even in social settings you feel like you're awkward, and that's okay to be awkward, to be yourself. You're gonna find your group of people nonetheless. Self-sabotage, they behave in ways that confirm negative beliefs and your negative self-image about yourself. So if they're too close to succeeding, they become uncomfortable. Self-sabotage will have you in a place where you have negative beliefs, where you don't believe that you deserve it, right? We already spoke about that. So when you're on the brinks of succeeding, it makes you uncomfortable. It makes you really uncomfortable, and you don't even know where that is stemming from because you haven't identified it. You become so uncomfortable with success. So you ever seen how someone who is wealthy and they look like they're very successful, but they'll put themselves in like crazy situations? That's self-sabotage. They're not acting that way out of nowhere. They don't feel like they deserve it. So they tend to self-harm. And we already broke down the ways you can self-harm by abusing alcohol, drugs, anything that has to do with like hating yourself, those actions. And when you deal with people who have been raised in a dysfunctional family and they've been told all of their lives that they will never be successful or they will always fail, and sometimes they believe that, and that has become a thought in the back of their mind. Some people will feel like, okay, yeah, no, my past didn't affect me, whatever, but that seed is still planted. So you won't remember until something happens, and then until you don't get the job, or until you don't meet the goal, until you feel like a sense of failure comes in, that seed that was planted from way back when will come up like, oh, told you you would fail at everything you do. Told you wouldn't be successful, and you'll start to believe it. That's why we can't allow people just to speak things into our life. I don't care. If you're not speaking up, do not speak down on me. If you're not speaking up, keep your mouth closed, and you have to check those people at the front door. Do not let people put their word curses on you. Now that's a curse, because words have power to give what? Life or death. So don't allow anybody to speak on your future, your present. If they want to speak on your past, go ahead, because I no longer live there. Simple as that. The only thing people can speak on is your past. I don't even care if you get it wrong, because I don't even live there. I don't even know who that was. Please, have your way. Do what you want with it. When you're dealing with self-sabotage, you intentionally screw things up on purpose. Like, why are you not going to sleep at a certain time when you know you have to be up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym? Why are you staying up late scrolling on social media? That's self-sabotage. You can say bad time management, but if you do it on a consistent basis and then you end up oversleeping, that's self-sabotage, because you're not being intentional. When you're changing your life and trying to break free from certain dysfunctional habits, you have to be intentional about everything that you do. You got to have your foot on your own neck. You got to put that pressure on yourself. Nobody's coming to save you. Sorry. And if they coming to save you, it's temporary, because I only know one person that could come to save you. Catch that. Self-sabotage can also lead to chronic struggles with food, liquor, drugs, gambling, and self-injury. It can also strip you of your motivation and make you feel anxious. So when people say they have anxiety, where do you think that feeling is stemming from? And are you going to sit still enough to figure out how you're going to conquer this thing so it won't come up at the wrong time? What I mean by the wrong time, the time where you're supposed to feel blissful, the time where you're supposed to feel excited about your future, the time when success is a part of your life, when you have attained the goal. You will have anxiety because you don't feel like you deserve it. So if you do not beat this enemy now, because this is an enemy, you have to treat it as such. Do not sleep on it. That's like an enemy that's saying they coming to fight you, and they know where you live and they come into your house. You're not going to leave your door unlocked. That'll be foolish of you because they want to do anything to defeat you. So why would you leave your door unlocked? Why would you leave your mind unguarded? Why would you not be intentional about your goals? Why would you not be intentional about your healing? Why would you not be intentional about getting to the root of what tried to keep you bound? Why would you not be intentional about you? Why would you not be intentional about saying affirmations every morning? Why would you not be intentional about building your relationship with God? Why would you not be intentional about loving yourself? Why would you not be intentional about practicing self-care? Why would you not be intentional about building your self-confidence? Why would you not be intentional about being you, comfortably you? Why would you not be intentional? Why would you not be intentional to show yourself that you are worth it, that you deserve it? It's for you. Don't run away from it. The more you run away from it, the more it's going to chase you down, and the more you'll become tired, because the more it chases after you and you run from it. You know how draining that is? Imagine running away from something that's chasing you, but what's chasing you is for your good. So that heaviness you feel, it's because God is pulling you to the next level, but you can't understand why God would want you there. You can't understand why would God want to send me there? I don't even think I can do it. I don't think that's for me. Yeah, I want it. I do want that lifestyle. I do want to be free. I do want to experience that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's for me. Why would God call me there? God is calling you to higher, and that's what you're feeling. That tug between your spirit and your flesh, because self-sabotage is definitely from your flesh, because that's the part of you that haven't healed. That's the part of you that's willing to be comfortable in sin. That's the part of you that's willing to be comfortable with complacency and laziness and negative thoughts and not affirming yourself. That's the flesh. Yeah. Depression. Yeah. That's the flesh. How long do you want to fight this? How long will you? I don't want to fight it no more. I'm tired. I want to do the work. I know the work won't be easy. So when we started saying that this is going to be the best year of my life, I believe it. I do. I genuinely believe that this is going to be the best year of my life. But also, I believe that this will be the hardest year of my life, because this is going to be the year I pivot. Everything around me is going to change. And in order for everything around me to change, I have to change. And changing yourself into that person, it's not going to be easy, because there's a lot of things I have to break, and there's a lot of things that I have to get to the root of. And when you get to the root of it, it's not pretty. It's very ugly. It's a crime scene, if you ask me, but it's well worth it. I'm never going back. Neither should you. I think there's more for us. I know there's more for us. Before I close out, I want to give you 3 common ways people self-sabotage. Perfectionism. That's me. That it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, you feel like it's out of line, that it's not going to work. Holding yourself to an impossible standard will always cause delays, setbacks. When they become undone or mess up, that person ends up feeling ashamed, prone to depression. They feel like they're letting everyone down. That is me. Remember I told y'all when I fell, like 2020, I felt like I was so ashamed. I'm my biggest critic. But that's a part of self-sabotage. This is why I've only experienced the very little God that I was able to receive from God, because I know he has way more for me, but that's all I was able to receive. But because my cup is too small. But now I'm making room for a bigger cup, and it's going to overflow. I'm believing the same for you. So procrastination, laziness, and not keeping your word with yourself. You say you want to lose weight. You don't ever get up for the gym. You don't ever set the alarm, or you don't ever go to sleep on time. So you miss the alarm because you want to catch up on sleep, or you make some excuse why you can't go to the gym. Be intentional. You don't keep your word with yourself. How can you trust yourself if you can't keep your word with yourself? The most important relationship that you're going to build, besides the one you build with God, is going to be the relationship with yourself. And if you neglect the relationship with yourself and act like you don't care about yourself, you'll allow anybody to treat you any kind of way, because you don't even treat yourself good. And lastly is self-medication. And what we talked about is the food, drugs, and sex. You'll self-sabotage by being promiscuous, giving your body to anybody. Yeah. You didn't think sex was a part of that. No. Yeah. Oh, it's just me living my life. No, you're self-sabotaging. You don't hold yourself to any standard, and you feel like, well, I feel stressed. I want to get this off. Yeah. You're self-sabotaging. The more people you sleep with, the more spirits you just pick up. You don't know who you sleeping with. You don't know what they dealing with in secret. And whatever he's dealing with is now on the inside of you. So you'll be fighting not only your demons that you ain't willing to do the work for. Now you have his demons. Now you have her demons. Let's be serious. Let's be intentional. No more self-sabotaging. We're not self-sabotaging. Now that we identified what it is, because I done broke it down, because sometimes we probably didn't know this is what we were dealing with. But now that I made it clear, this is what self-sabotage is. Now it's time to do the work. Now it's time to break free. This is the beginning of 2023. You know, the first month, we're breaking it. Because, you know, change doesn't happen overnight. But if we do the work now, imagine what life will be at the end of 2023. I'm ready. I'm ready to do the work. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be so worth it. Don't sleep on you. No more self-sabotaging. No more thinking that you're not worth it. You're worth it. You're so deserving of it. Love you. I love you. I love you. I want to say this. Because a lot of people self-sabotage when it comes to love, settling. I don't like to see people settle when it comes to love. Because I feel like you should take care of your heart. God cares so much about you and loves you unconditionally. No matter what you've done, you can never run away from God's love. You can never make God stop loving you. So if your Father loves you that much, why do you allow people to mistreat you? Why don't you love yourself enough? Why don't you think you deserve it? Those are all the questions you need to ask yourself. And even if you need to speak to God because you don't know where the root is, ask God to reveal it. He will. It may be with the relationship with your natural father. Maybe your father wasn't in your life and you try to find men to fill that void, or you look to a man to fill you up emotionally. You want that covering. You want those things that the father was supposed to provide, but he was not around, or he wasn't consistent. Or your mother. You need that nurturer. You lack that, so you want to be nurtured. Or you've been betrayed, so it's hard for you to trust. You want good people around you, but it's hard for you to make good friends. Let's get to the root of it. I'm here for y'all. Love y'all. Bye. It's episode 3. Comfortably Me with your host, Vanessa Elaine. I'm not gonna lie, this Kendrick Lamar Count Me Out song, if you haven't heard it, definitely listen to it. Listen to the words. Read the lyrics as you're listening to it. This song always gets me so hyped. The verse today is from Kendrick Lamar, Count Me Out. And it says, "But a mask won't hide who you are inside. I don't care how much you try to mask it. It will always reveal itself in some way. So take the mask off. Because if you want to truly heal, you have to be able to take the mask off. And no one can force you to take this mask off. So it's up to you to be intentional, to want the healing, to want to do better, to want to let go of self-lack, self-sabotage, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-worthiness. Let's go. Take the mask off, because it won't hide who you are inside. And the longer you keep that mask on, the longer you delay your healing, the longer you delay your success.